30 projections in 30 days going into the 2024 regular season for the New York Mets as we continue our month-long deep dive into the Mets 40-man roster. Today we are talking about Luis Severino. In Severino's return to the Bronx from multiple injuries last season, he really struggled to regain form, posting a 6.65 earned run average, a 6.14 fielding independent pitching, striking out 18.9% of batters across 89.1 innings pitched. Since his All-Star selection back in 2018, Severino has just pitched 209.1 innings in the last 5 seasons, undergoing Tommy John surgery along with multiple upper and lower body injuries in that span. As for his recent showing, the speculation of Severino tipping pitches for an extended period of time was deemed obvious, with the 29-year-old right-hander landing in the bottom 25% in nearly every projectable batted ball metric in 2023. Aside from a small velocity dip, Severino is a hard-throwing righty with explosive depth, a high 90s fastball sinker combo, a high spin slider with RPMs over 2,600, hybrid cutter with some late run, and a gyro-style changeup. Severino is expected to be a key contributor to the Mets rotation this season after signing a one-year, $13 million prove-it deal before re-hitting the opening market after 2024.
When the signing was made, was it loving that this was the first addition, this is his first priority for David Stearns to be? This is the guy, the first I'm going to assert my New York Mets tenure, and this is the type of guy he goes out and gets, especially with his injury history, and especially with the New York Mets rotation of a bunch of question marks. Let's go add another one. Yes, you could say he was tipping pitches. Yes, he's 29. Yes, his fastball velocity has not regressed a lot. But again, a lot of ifs, and you know my thing, good teams don't have ifs. And Luis Severino is a very big if. If he can figure out the tipping pitches, if he can get back to any type of form of that 2017. But can it happen? Sure. We've seen guys, reclamation projects work and hit every year. Am I banking on that? No. But again, David Stearns, this is one of his top priorities, so he sees something in the Jeremy Hafner pitching lab. God, maybe he is an all-star in it, like a positive note. And I'm hoping for it, because if this team is bad, to flip him at the deadline for more assets for the future is always what the plan should be. So you hope that you can get the bounce back and then get a couple of at least C to maybe B level prospects and move on.
I've been on the record, wasn't high on it, and my reason is just the health, honestly. I mean, we're talking about going on 6 years since the guy was fully healthy. That's a long time, you know what I mean? Like, you could say, oh, he's only 30, oh, he tipped pitches, this and that, but 6 years worth of injuries could do a lot to a guy. Whether you're 30 or you're 40, that's a lot of injuries that he's had lately. And like you said, it's upper body, it's lower body, it's this, it's that. It's always something. And even though he's been good, other than this past season, to me, Andrew's old quote, the best ability is availability. For me, I just want to see the guy healthy. I mean, whether he's an ace again, obviously we would love that. But I just want to see the guy on the mound at close to every 5 days, or if they go 6 days, every 6 days. Just be out there consistently, because if he is better, but he gets hurt again, it defeats the purpose. So for me, I'm just kind of curious about what is it that they're going to do. Is it as simple as a 6-man rotation just to get this guy to stay healthy? Because, it's a lot of starts to go with tipping pitches that, like, they couldn't fix that. Like, they didn't realize that was going on. Like, it's, now that's a year later, now we realize that was the problem. So for me, it's like, I hope it's a simple fix like that. I wouldn't count on it. He's not going to be as bad as he was this past season, but I just don't think this is the same guy that was the all-star, top 10 Cy Young. I just don't think he's that guy anymore. So he's just someone that he wasn't on top of my list because he just had too much going against him. I think the fact of the injuries, plus coming off with a bad year, I just didn't like that he had just both of those things going against him, especially on a team that already had plenty of question marks in the rotation. For them to add another guy like that, I just didn't. He just wasn't at the top of my board as far as guys that I wanted for the Mets.
Listen, I think that the concern is very, very fair for Luis Severino. I think we have seen for at least the past 5 seasons, 6 seasons, we have seen a lot of concern, whether it is injury or production. I mean, just basically just being an actual contributor ever since like actually having the All-Star caliber season that he had many years ago. And I think that the problem with Severino is mainly just the health. And I think that even though last year he was horrendous, possibly the worst starter in all of baseball, I don't really have any concern that he is going to be just as bad or maybe a little bit less bad. I think that you're going to get a quality number 3 at best. Like, I think you're going to get a good pitcher. It all just depends on if he's actually on the field to do it. And that's the only main factor that is very worrisome with him, because for a decent amount of sample, both of you just said, he just has not been healthy. And hopefully a 6-man rotation, saving some bullets or whatever, having him dial back the velocity a little bit with the good stuff that he has, great breaking stuff, great off-speed stuff. Hopefully, maybe that can help him out a little bit. I'm not worried about the production. I think that the main worry is obviously his health. I do want to remind everybody that projections are not predictions. They are benchmarks of a player's current specific percentile outcome based on predictive data and results. For my projections, I decided to use, in my opinion, each player's 75th percentile outcome, although a majority of player projections are from a 50th percentile outcome. I personally wanted to have a median between sustainability and upside. It also gives you a decent look as to who I am high on and who I am low on. As for Severino, I have 128.2 innings pitched, 23% K percentage, 7.1% walk rate, 3.92 earned run average, a 3.77 fielding independent pitching, a 1.1 home runs per 9, and a 1.7 wins above replacement.
They're pretty spot on. I mean, obviously that's not his best year, but obviously it's also not his worst year. So, I think that's kind of the happy medium you expect from Severino. The innings, it's good. It's better than what we've seen in a while, but it's still not great as far as what you want, because, the hope is with the way this team is currently constructed, if anyone's going to be the number 2, they're hoping it's him, honestly. I mean, because, Minaya, been a while since he's been good. Quintana's not going to be an ace. Hauser's not going to be an ace. You know what I mean? The other guys in the back end, obviously not. Severino is the one guy I feel like they're hoping could bounce back to actually be like all-star caliber. So for him to only give that amount of innings, I don't think that's going to quite get it done, especially with the Senga injury. I don't know. Like, it makes sense to me, but I think that if that's what we get, it's not a great year, and I think for Severino, it's just as big a year, if not bigger for him than it is for the Mets. I mean, this is a guy that if he went into free agency after those good years with the Yankees, he's getting an insane contract. Now, look what he got from the Mets. If he follows up with another bad year or another injury-plagued year or both, he's just going to keep getting these 1-year just low AAV deals. And so for him, I mean, he wants to show, like, listen, I could be an ace guy. I want to still be able to be eligible to get that kind of big payday that he's yet to get. So he's going to be very motivated for sure. I mean, so, that helps out the Mets. But for him, that's just not going to get it done, in my opinion. So the projections make sense. I just think that, it's still not great all in all for what they need from him. That's not enough.
I think that you have to take into account, of course, like the loss of Kodai Senga, and that's definitely going to be put on Luis Severino a lot. Near 130 innings, I mean, it may be a lot in a 6-man rotation, but there is also a reality where maybe that's a little too much for him, to be honest, from what we've seen.
Like you said, you put all the factors of 6-man rotation most likely. His injury, that is, like you said, the best possible outcome. I don't even think he gets 100. Especially now with the increased pressure on him, he has to hit now, especially, which is not likely. He's got to get pushing that 140 number, which, again, his body has historically not allowed him to do that. Plus, now if you're doing a 6-man rotation, Like, he would have to go back to that form of just dominating, which we haven't seen in a long time. So I'm not banking on him. But now, like Frank said, you don't believe Jose Quintana is your ace. Well, this is the only guy who has the upside as an ace. So he has to show it at this point. He has the upside. He can be a number 2. But again, it's been so damn long since we've seen that guy. And he can be a solid pitcher. He's seen it in his career. I'm just not banking up on it, especially with a guy who's injury prone putting on a blue and orange jersey. We've seen this story written and read a